All right, your boy the man NJ to the city with the number 2 and TO. Let's go. So the this is not really about sports. This is pretty much again about the music entertainment industry. Um, God bless the first video that I made about that last night and posted. Cause I just had to go in on it, ladies and gentlemen. I just had to because it's like I'm just disgusted and disturbed with the business of the league, with the NFL and just the self righteous, hypocritical nature. I mean, I hate to say it, but to go into that excerpt just for 2 seconds, it seems like the NFL has its moral compass as janked up, jacked up, crapped up as it could be. In terms of they've shown you on plethora of occasions, and God bless Colin Kaepernick because this literally is about to feature him. They would rather employ women beaters and other I want the women beaters, DUI traffickers, and a few other things I can name, rather than a guy that just kneeled for the anthem. Now I ain't gonna lie and say that after the fact of like fast forward 2-3 years after, I'm not gonna say he probably hasn't gotten his own self in trouble with his mouth, possibly, because actually I have stayed in touch with some of the latest Colin Kaepernick news. I just haven't believed all of it because, like I've said, because even if he has gotten himself a little bit in trouble with his mouth, ladies and gentlemen, Colin Kaepernick is still a top 10 quarterback. Look at his highlights if you, again, don't believe me. Because if you don't believe me, you're definitely not looking at his highlights. The man was and is a top 10 quarterback. And the league has proven as I keep telling you, they'll employ a bunch of other scrubs that ain't worth nothing, in terms of really anything. Playoff success, regular season success, they ain't worth nothing. They'll employ a bunch of other people who ain't worth nothing, but they just fit the status quo, just, to stay employed, keep stealing checks and more. Or keep taking checks and stealing money, the phrase that they keep on using when it comes to all these backups that I'm really referring to that haven't shown they have the X factor and the enigmas. And that's what I mean when I say that's what ticks me off about the NFL. You keep employing guys who proven they don't have the X factor. Why are you still employing them when you're letting guys sit at home that do have the X factor and can win you multiple Super Bowls? That's the top two problem I have, if not top five, with the NFL. They're employing the wrong people. The wrong people. I'm telling you, they are truly, but it really does go back to that fact that you literally would employ a woman beater and a DUI trafficker before you employ a guy that kneeled for the anthem. Now I'm pro-America, but still, you get the point. Whether you want to go social justice, whatever topic you want to go off on there, I'm here for it, because if you're kneeling for prayer during the anthem, that makes common sense. I think everybody is down with that, and we're all good with it. But if you're kneeling for the social justice aspect, that's when you become controversial, and it becomes like, like be more specific. What social justice are you? And or just please feel free to have a conversation with any fan about it. When it comes to when it comes to it, because some don't have a problem, most definitely do. But I think a lot of even the social justice with the players have been so muddied. We probably can come to more common ground. We just haven't tried because we haven't met each other yet to be in the middle. When it comes to the players versus the fans. The players and fans need to truly meet together, and I promise you, there's a lot more common ground there, that isn't expressed, that will be found, once that day comes. But I think you kind of hopefully get the point. The league has proven they'll employ women beaters and DUI traffickers before they employ a guy that just kneel for the anthem. Now, I'm not saying kneeling for the anthem is now, I mean, everybody has their reasons for it. God be the ultimate judge and witness. Whether it's good or bad, let alone all the other ways that you could bring awareness without kneeling. But again, if you're kneeling for prayer, I think everybody is 100 with that, and it makes all the sense in the world. But that's one of the reasons why I don't like the NFL at all, because because you've shown just a complete janky moral compass. If you were to ask me, you'll employ people who have God willing, when it comes to everybody's interaction with law enforcement, when it comes to stuff like DUI traffickers and yada yada yada. God bless everybody. We all fall short. We all yada yada yada. I can literally go off on a million different tangents about that. We all make mistakes. Probably more than we all make mistakes. We all do yada yada yada. If not all, most. But the fact that you would employ those guys before you employ a guy to kneel for the anthem just says your moral compass is as janky as can be, and you don't want to win. You don't even know what it takes to win, probably, and or you know what it takes to win, but you want to win your way, and if you can't win your way, you rather lose every game and go 1-16 like the Jaguars did. Another subject for another day, probably. So to go back into it, ladies and gentlemen, really music entertainment industry speculations. Yeah, I went into the football thing because I just read a headline that says the Eagles and Joe Flacco are like mutually interested in each other, and I'm like, no, 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 and so on. I'll definitely go back. I don't. Let me just go and focus on that right now. If I get time for more music entertainment, I do. If I don't, I'll do another video. The reason why I'm so about that is because I'm thinking to myself, like, I love Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts is a good kid. He's a superstar. He's an enigma. He's the X factor. He oozes that swag and that courage and that confidence and in the student of the game mentality, let alone run through a brick wall for my guys mentality. He oozes all that. Why would you bring in Joe Flacco? Why would you bring in Joe Flacco to be his veteran mentor, his veteran backup? Why Joe Flacco out of all people? I mean, now God bless Joe Flacco. There's a bad rap on him at times for a reason. There's also good rap on him at times for a reason. Like he can make, again, physically, he can, majority of the time, make all the throws because his time in Denver was just hilariously awful. But other than that, I mean, he's still good for some throws. He's still good for some leverage. He's still good for, maybe a postseason push. Other than that, why? They have two completely opposite skill sets, and it just doesn't make any sense. And isn't Jalen Hurts supposed to? I mean, again, and I hate to say it because if you bring a guy like that in, even though he's towards the tail end of his career, when you bring a guy like that in, I just got that gut-wrenching feeling. If Jalen is your starter, God forbid he stinks for 3 straight games, and you pull him for Joe. What's one of the next things that people are going to be thinking to themselves? Oh, the Eagles are back into the quarterback market now. Or they don't believe in Jalen Hurts anymore, or whatever the case is. Or God will, God willing, he gets his job back and he still stinks for how many games? Told you, Jalen couldn't play and now the Eagles are back in are going to be back in the quarterback market. I'm like, no, I don't. Similar to Gardner Minshew when Andy Dalton had a choice to come to Jacksonville and be Gardner's backup. It's like, I don't want you to be pampered, but at the same time you need to be nourished. I want you to get I want the competition. I want you to get better, but I don't want you to feel, like I said before, if God forbid you play awful for 3 straight games, I don't want. Because again, they don't do this stuff for any other type of quarterback. No offense to guys like Ben Roethlisberger and even guys like Drew Brees, Tom Brady, you name it. They can go out there and suck for 3 straight weeks and still be the starter the whole way through. That's kind of the point. Those guys can stink for 3 straight games and they're still the starter. Guys like Jalen Hurts, Gardner Minshew, and more, that the verdict was still out on, and they were trying to prove, he was trying to, and it's still trying to prove themselves. You don't need to bring, and I hate to say it, you don't need to bring in a distraction. God forbid I say the word distraction with Joe Flacco. Or whatever else words you could put there. Because it's like, I got that feeling, God forbid Jalen goes in there and sucks for 3 games. It's like, I'm pretty sure they're going to put Flacco in there, are they not? And God forbid they do that and Jalen never gets his job back. Everybody's going to say pretty much these 2 things. Told you Jalen Hurts couldn't play. And then everybody's going to be saying, now the Eagles are back in the quarterback market because they don't believe in Jalen. So it's like, I don't want you to be pampered, but at the same time, I want you to have every opportunity to succeed, though, at the same time. I don't want you to be pampered, but I also want you to be nurtured. I don't want you to be pampered when it comes to not having competition and y'all. Because, I mean, we all, every position, even though they quarterback position, especially with young guys, you can obviously tell. Some teams prioritize. Yeah, I'm not even gonna say they prioritize competition at that position because they don't. I'm not even gonna say they did. They really do. They really don't. Most teams, if not every, they don't. I'm not even gonna even pretend like they do. I mean, in training camp they might because they bring in like 2 or 3 extra guys or whatever. But other than that, you see them get cut, and possibly out of bat to the practice squad. Other than that, they just left in the wind. Because I'll never forget this past offseason, leading up to the 2020 season, we thought that teams were going to start stockpiling quarterbacks again. And that means in terms of, like, you were going to have 3 on your main roster and 1 on your practice squad. So we thought that, every team was going to keep 3, if not 4 quarterbacks for sure. And then cut day came around, and most teams absolutely 9 out of 10 cut quarterbacks left and right. Quarterbacks were cut left and right. And I have no idea how many of them did not. I have no idea how many of them did not find their way back on the active roster someplace, and how many did. I do not know. But you kind of get the point and that's why I say the lack of preseason games. That just, I mean, because I don't know if an expanded roster would help solve this issue with quarterback purgatory. I don't know if an expanded roster would fix this issue when it comes to quarterback purgatory. But the purge of quarterbacks after training camp, I don't know if it would or would not. So part of me says it should, but just because you think it would doesn't mean it will. But I mean, it's definitely dumb. It's just definitely dumb. It's definitely because we thought that was going to happen and it didn't happen. A lot of quarterbacks were purged. It was like I'd probably count on one hand the list of teams that actually kept 3-4 quarterbacks. The rest did not. Most teams did not keep 3 or 4. Most teams kept 2, and that was it. And the problem with the 2 is that your second string, as I keep saying, it's not like your second string is a young guy. That's what I've noticed a lot of. The second string is not a young guy. The second string is some, again, other aging backup that's not elite, that's already past his prime, it hasn't conquered his ceiling, or, and a bunch of other stuff. And it's like, but I just got that feeling, and probably scarcity worry, if that's even the right phrase to use there. Jalen Hurts will not be nurtured with Joe Flacco. He will be tarnished because of Joe Flacco. I hope I am totally wrong, but I just do not trust Joe Flacco whatsoever in that role with Jalen Hurts. A young guy that's still trying to prove himself, I just don't see it happening. Where Joe Flacco will nourish, mature Jalen. I don't see that. I see it being more so, God forbid Jalen sucks for 3 games, Joe will go in there, and God forbid they go on a Super Bowl run and win a Super Bowl. But you get the point. I just don't have that feeling that he's going to be nurturing. I feel like it's going to be stagnating more than anything. It's going to be exactly what it was when Adam Gase went from Miami to New York. And you saw what happened to Sam Darnold. He deteriorated, never developed, and looked like piss poor garbage last year. That's what I have the gut feeling, horrible gut-wrenching feelings about to happen to Jalen Hurts with Joe Flacco. Now, Joe's obviously not the coach, but it's the same type of deterioration that I got the gut feeling, God forbid, is about to happen. Because like I say, Jalen is not going to be granted the same leash as an established starter in the league. That's the problem. When you're not granted that long leash. That's what I'm referring to. When you're not granted that long leash, God forbid you suck for 3 games, I can see them yanking you right there. Versus you have that long leash, and no matter how many games you suck up until you're out of playoff contention, you're going to be starting. And that's my fear of what's going to happen next season with Jalen versus Joe. But if I can get more into this, I will. God bless you, Borderman. NJ2TheCity out. Hopefully you got the gist of what I'm saying. Hopefully everybody has a great, let's get the week. God bless.